Hello everyone, it's Anton on the go here, and I'm currently at Pearson International Airport here in Toronto. And welcome, as I literally journey across the globe in search for the most beloved woman in history. She came to fame as a young Jewish teenage mother and is revered and loved not only by Catholics, but also by non-believers and those from different religions alike. As the woman who nursed and brought up the Son of God, she taught him how to walk, prompted him to perform his first miracle, and stood by him until the very end. Several publications such as National Geographic and Time have hailed her as the most powerful woman in the world. Regardless of race, color, or creed, whatever name we invoke her, her love is for all as she watches over us and intercedes on our behalf. And even though it has been a little over 2,000 years, she's more alive than ever today. This woman is no other than the Blessed Virgin Mary, the Mother of God, and our Mother. In the last segments, I traveled across Egypt, Paris, and Japan. But for this season, as 2025 marks the Jubilee year, come and join me as I travel mainly to Italy and to the French Alps. So come and join me as I journey to some of the many places where the Blessed Virgin has touched the lives of many. From the bustling streets of Rome, where Our Lady could be found in every street corner, to the French Alps where she wept and emphasized the power of words. From sworn enemies of the Church to one man's dream which translated to a permanent legacy which can still be seen today. From a cheap plaque in a rundown Sicilian neighborhood to processions in St. Peter's Square. So join me as I go in search for the Virgin Mary. Known as the largest Mediterranean island, Sicily lies south of Italy, separated from the Italian peninsula by the Strait of Messina at the northeast corner of the island and from the coast of Tunisia by the Sicilian Channel. Its most famous natural feature is Mount Etna, Europe's tallest and most active volcano, which also serves as a powerful cultural symbol to the region's identity. Sicily is also known as the biggest of Italy's 20 regions, having gained autonomy in 1946 when Italy became a republic. Since 12,000 BC, Sicily has been inhabited by various groups of people, from Phoenician and Greek colonies, the Romans, Vandals, Ostrogoths, Byzantines, Arabs, and the Spaniards. Like all over mainland Italy, Christianity, particularly Catholicism, is the predominant religion of Sicily, which still plays an important role in local life. The faith arrived on the Mediterranean island sometime after the year 200 AD. While St. Paul is believed to have visited Sicily during his journey to Rome, it was not until after the 2nd century that the religion began to take root and spread all over the island. Some of the greatest saints and martyrs such as Saint Agatha and Saint Lucy, both of whom are natives of Sicily, indicate the important role of the early church and the growth of early Christianity and its presence on the island. Along with the faith came devotion to the Blessed Virgin Mary, which is deeply ingrained in Sicilian culture and spirituality, with numerous festivals, churches, and traditions dedicated to Our Lady across the island. The devotion is especially evident in celebrations like the Feast of the Immaculate Conception and the Feast of the Assumption. Our Lady has marked Sicily as part of her territory. And to prove this to you, come with me as I retell one of the most unusual yet powerful stories regarding the Blessed Mother in our contemporary era. This stirred both religious and secular presses not only within the island, but also all over Italy and Europe. This baffled scientists and skeptics alike and has been approved by the Church. This is the story of Our Lady who cried. Before taking you to our main story, to give you a sense of the deep devotion which Sicilians have for the Blessed Mother, and how each city or town on this island has a special shrine in honor of Mary, the touristic and picturesque city of Taormina, for example, has its own Madonna, where she is locally known as Madonna della Rocca, or Our Lady of the Rock. Hello everyone, it's Anton on the go here, and greetings from the beautiful island of Sicily. I am currently in Taormina, and just to show you how the locals here in Sicily have a strong devotion to Mary, I am currently climbing up one of the highest peaks here in Taormina, where there is a church called the Madonna della Rocca, or Our Lady of the Rock, where the story says by the locals that the Blessed Virgin Mary appeared to a local shepherd boy during a strong storm, and because the shepherd boy was very afraid that something bad would happen to his flock or to himself, because as you can see, this is high up in the mountains, and you know the rocks were slippery. But when the Blessed Mother appeared to the shepherd boy, she promised him, she smiled at him and told him that he would be safe and not to worry. Now his parents down in the village were worried because he hadn't returned, but when they found him, he was safe with his flock, and he told his parents of the apparition that he saw in a cave, because Mother Mary appeared to him in a cave when he sought shelter from the storm, and they saw this beautiful image of the Blessed Mother with the child Jesus. So, but here's a beautiful view of Taormina. Upon entering Madonna della Rocca Church, visitors are greeted by a serene and contemplative atmosphere. Perched on the mountain overlooking Taormina, the church offers stunning views that are highly praised by those who make the journey. Our Lady of the Rock Church seamlessly integrates spirituality with the surrounding natural beauty, making it a destination worth visiting for those in search of a peaceful and inspiring experience. So I'm here in the Church of Madonna della Rocca. It's a very beautiful tiny church, and I didn't even know about this shrine, this sanctuary here in Sicily until very recently. The locals here built a church right on the spot in the cave where the young shepherd boy saw the Blessed Mother. And according to the story, he described the Blessed Mother wearing blue, and she was smiling at him when he took refuge when there was a violent storm. So he ran inside this cave and saw the Blessed Mother and reassured of his safety. And after he told his parents, after the shepherd boy told his parents, they told the bishop of the town, and they came here to the cave where the boy pointed out where he saw the Blessed Mother, and they saw a picture. So according to the story, it's a miraculous image as well, and we can attest to that to the various ex-votos or votive offerings left by pilgrims who have experienced graces from Our Lady of the Rock. There is also a statue here that depicts the apparition. So the statue here is not exactly blue in color as the boy described, but she's wearing a red dress with a blue mantle. So the locals here in Taormina take great pride in Madonna della Rocca. So I believe, if I'm not mistaken, her feast days every September. I think it's third week of September, and this is a big and important event here in Taormina. Our main story for this vlog, however, isn't in Taormina, but in the city of Siracusa, which is an hour-and-a-half drive south of Taormina. Fun fact, the city of Siracusa, or Syracuse, is Sicily's oldest city, which was founded by Greek settlers from Corinth in the year 734 or 733 BC. The city, including the island of Ortygia, holds significant historical and archaeological value, showcasing a blend of Greek, Roman, and Baroque influences, and is considered today a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Despite Sicily's rich cultural heritage, the island has also experienced difficult times. After the unification of Italy, the Sicilian economy proved unable to compete with the north. This led to a wave of emigration. Ongoing government neglect in the late 19th century also enabled the establishment of organized crime networks, which are famously known today as the Sicilian Mafia, commonly known locally as the Cosa Nostra, which became an essential part of the social structure. While the Mafia is said to have reached its peak of influence and power in the 1970s and early 80s, it was during the aftermath of World War II and the post-war reconstruction period in Italy that provided fertile ground for the Mafia's resurgence and expansion. By the 1950s, the Sicilian Mafia underwent a significant transformation, shifting from a primarily rural, agrarian structure to one deeply involved in urban development, politics, and international drug trafficking. In the wider world, however, the 1950s was an uncertain time for many. The world was amidst tensions between the United States and the Soviet Union. The Korean War, which had blown into full scale, had left millions dead. Nuclear weapons were being tested in the Pacific Ocean, endangering thousands of lives and various ecosystems. It was into this particular period of uncertainty in Sicilian and world history that the Blessed Virgin Mary made her sorrow and love known to all in the most unusual manner. Through a cheap mass-produced plaster plaque, which became a wedding gift to a young lower-middle-class couple who recently married, didn't go to church, and were struggling to make ends meet. For today's segment of In Search of the Virgin Mary, I want to take you here in the beautiful port city of Siracusa, in the Italian island of Sicilia, or Sicily in English. So the story now that I'm about to share and show you is considered among the modern day and contemporary miracles, and chances are you probably haven't heard about it yet, and it might even sound unusual. However, at the same time, it is one of the most powerful and most beautiful stories about the Blessed Mother, which I feel we really need today. This story of the Blessed Mother is badly needed today in our world, especially with what's going on in our society. And it occurred right here in the city of Siracusa and is remembered and beloved by the local people and also by Sicilians who have left and immigrated their beloved land and moved to the United States, to North America, and other parts of the world. So come and join me as I share and retell with you the story of the Weeping Madonna of Siracusa. The history of the image begins with the sculptor, Amilcare Santini, who is said to have modeled the image in just 3 days under artistic inspiration. It was made of plaster dissolved in water and poured into a mold and turned out to dry in the sun. It was then sprayed with a varnish to render it suitable for painting. After it was colored, varnished, and polished, ordinary screws were used to attach the image to a panel of black opaline. The panel measures 39 by 33 centimeters, the figure 29 by 22 centimeters. The plaque was then mass-produced in Tuscany, Italy, and shipped to Syracuse for retail. Our story begins on March 21st, 1953, when a young couple named Antonina Giusto and Angelo Iannuso got married. They were poor and couldn't afford to buy a home, so the young couple decided to live with Angelo's relatives on Via degli Orti. The couple didn't really live out their faith, and they would later testify that they considered themselves as lukewarm Catholics. Despite this, however, they were gifted with a cheap mass-produced plaster image of the Immaculate Heart of Mary, which their relative purchased at the local store for only $3. Little did the couple know, and little did Syracuse know, that this image of Our Lady would soon be the center of the city's attention. Angelo was a common laborer who only had very basic education, but was nevertheless an upright man. And Antonina was a simple woman who only wanted to start a family. Right after the marriage of the young couple, Angelo's brother, Giuseppe, provided a room for the young couple at their small home in Via degli Orti. The two families shared a small cramped three-room house, but nevertheless, the couple was beyond grateful. Despite Angelo and Antonina's lukewarmness towards the faith, the couple hung the image of the Immaculate Heart of Mary with devotion inside their room. Soon enough, the couple was overjoyed to discover that Antonina was pregnant, but typical of the hard-working poor class of Sicily, things were not going to be easy. Antonina's condition was accompanied by a severe case of preeclampsia, formerly called toxemia, which is a complication of pregnancy characterized by high blood pressure and signs of damage to other organ systems, such as the liver or the kidneys. Antonina's condition expressed itself through convulsions, which at times brought temporary blindness. Every week she would have a spell resembling epilepsy, and after a violent siege of convulsions, she would fall into a swoon, bereft of sight and speech. Doctors were baffled, but by August of 1953, Antonina's ordeal was exceptionally frightful, and there was not a day that she did not suffer these attacks. During the early morning of Saturday, August 29, 1953, Antonina had a severe attack at 3 in the morning which had left her blind, and with this, she immediately implored the help of the Blessed Mother. Angelo had left at 6 a.m. that morning worrying about his young wife, and at 8:30 a.m., Antonina sensed another attack coming on, but the spasms never came, and all of a sudden, she was able to see clearly. She opened her eyes, and the very first thing her sight alighted on was the little image of the Immaculate Heart of Mary, the Madonnina, and to the amazement of Antonina, tears were gently falling from the face of Mary. She later testified that,
I opened my eyes and stared at the image of the Madonna above the headbed. To my great amazement, I saw that the effigy was weeping. I called my sister-in-law Grazia and my aunt Antonia Scarlatta, who came to my side, showing them the tears. At first, they thought it was a hallucination due to my illness, but when I insisted, they went close up to the plaque and could well see that tears were really falling from the eyes of the Madonna, and that some tears ran down her cheeks onto the bedhead. Taken by fright, they took it out the front door, calling the neighbors, and they too confirmed the phenomenon.
So I am here in the Casa del Pianto, here on Via degli Orti, and this is the house where Antonia and Angelo Iannuso used to live when the miracle happened. So if you will follow me, This is still the original house that was bought by the sanctuary in 1954, and they preserved this house and converted it into a chapel. So inside here is the room of Angelo and Antonina Iannuso, where the miracle occurred from August 29 to September 1st, 1953. It has since been converted as an oratory, so I have to keep my voice a little low. But here is an altar and a copy of the bust image of Madonna delle Lacrime. Now, I was told by the man here, who works here in the sanctuary house, that the original house was much smaller, and that the sanctuary of Our Lady of the Tears bought this section of the house. So originally in 1953, it would have been much smaller, and historically, as we know, two families were living in this small house. Angelo and Antonia's family were living right here. So you can imagine how cramped it was. Probably not as cramped as Saint Bernadette Soubirous' house in Lourdes, France, but it was still very small. And we are told this reception area was the kitchen and the bathroom of the Iannuso home. And if we go inside here, this is where Angelo's family lived, if I'm not mistaken, but they transferred all the original items of the house. So right here is the bed, the original bed where Antonia was laying down and suffering from her pregnancy when she received her miracle from the Blessed Mother, and where she saw the Blessed Mother weep. And right here are still the bedside tables, the dresser. So it's still all original, but the miracle didn't happen in this room. It happened, as I've mentioned, on the other room where the chapel is right now, where the oratory is right now. And this place is open only during the morning, because if I'm not mistaken, this house is run by volunteers. The image of Mary wept 6 to 7 times that morning alone, and again in the evening when Angelo returned home from work. It became very clear at this point that Antonina had been miraculously healed from her illness, which had puzzled doctors, and this led to the conversion of the couple and their return to the Catholic Church. This became one of the first recorded miracles to occur in Syracuse. The crowds grew throughout the next couple of days, swelling into the thousands outside the Iannuso home. The plaque had to be moved from the bedroom to a little altar outside, first by the front door. The surprised crowd would scream, "Look, the Madonna is weeping." News of the phenomenon spread quickly throughout the entire city of Syracuse, bringing crowds that forced their way indoors and gathered in the streets around the house. The inspector of security, with the couple's permission, hung the plaque on the outside of the house to satisfy the curiosity of the people. But later, on seeing that the crowd showed no sign of diminishing, the picture was taken to the constabulary in an effort to reduce the confusion. The image wept while outside the building and during its transport, baffling the police, who made the sign of the cross. A man named Mario Messina, who was highly regarded in the neighborhood, examined the plaque at close range. After observing the slow formation of the tears, he removed the plaque from the wall, examined it thoroughly, and satisfied himself that the tears were not the result of an internal reservoir. After the plaque was dried, 2 tears immediately reappeared.
Reported miracle in Sicily. An image of the Virgin said to weep real tears brings over 50,000 pilgrims to the shrine. Old people, invalids, the crippled and blind from all parts of Italy cluster before the image, seeking the miraculous cure said to come to those who view the pictured Virgin as she weeps. High church authorities are conducting an inquiry on the matter.
The image was nailed above the main door on Monday, August 31st, and its tears were collected by the people on pieces of cloth and wads of cotton. During this time, the curious were satisfied, the skeptics were convinced, and many of the sick were healed. People came in droves day and night reciting the rosary, and another makeshift altar had to be made, this time from across the street to protect the image from falling. The events were happening so fast and miraculous cures were being reported immediately that 3 priests visited the Iannuso home during this time. One of them notified the chancery, which assembled a group of distinguished clergymen, 4 men of science, and 3 reputable witnesses to comprise an investigative commission. On the specific instructions of the chancellor, the commission gathered at the Iannuso home the morning of Tuesday, September 1st, for the purpose of studying the phenomenon and collecting a sample of the tears for chemical analysis. The plaque was examined while it wept, and while the liquid collected in the cavity formed by the hand over the heart. The commission examined the smooth finish and found no pores or irregularities on the surface. The backing was removed, and the unfinished calcined gypsum was scrutinized and found in a dry condition, even though tears collected on the reverse. Using a sterilized pipette, a sample of the tears were collected and placed in a sterilized vial that was taken to the provincial laboratory to be examined by doctors and chemists. Following this thorough examination, the image continued weeping for another 51 minutes, but at 11:40 in the morning of September 1st, the tears stopped, never to be repeated. Following a detailed analysis, the conclusion reached by the doctors was that the liquid examined is shown to be made up of a watery solution of sodium chloride in which traces of protein and nuclei of a silvery composition of excretory substances of the quaternary type, the same as found in the human secretions used as a comparison during the analysis. In other words, the tears were found to be of human origin. The report was dated September 9, 1953, and was signed by Doctors Michel Casola, Francesco Cozzi, Leopoldo La Rosa, and Mario Marietta. The facts of the case were then sent to Rome the following day on September 10 to the Secretary of the Holy Office. The Church initially didn't want to comment on the events and was in no hurry to pronounce any judgment on supposed miracles. However, due to the rapid pace of the events and crowds of people coming from all over Sicily and mainland Italy, there was sufficient proof that this incident was in no way the work of human hands, nor was it considered a hoax that had any diabolical influence. The bishops of Sicily then came together to form a church commission, and Archbishop Baranzini commented that Mary had shed tears of sorrow and distress as a sign to society and culture, which had gone astray. Archbishop Baranzini went to Rome on September 24 and met Pope Pius XII to discuss the events. And after months of investigation, on December of 1953, the bishops of Sicily met to pass official judgment, and their leader, Cardinal Ruffini, expressed their positive approval and decision in the following statement. The bishops of Sicily, having heard the full report by His Excellency, Archbishop Ettore Baranzini of Siracusa, on the weeping of an image of the Immaculate Heart of Mary, after careful sifting of the numerous reports, after having noted the positive results of the diligent chemical analysis under which the tears gathered were examined, the bishops have unanimously announced the judgment that the reality of the facts cannot be put in doubt. On October 17, 1954, Pope Pius XII gave his positive judgment on the miracle through a radio address. We acknowledge the unanimous declaration of the Episcopal Conference held in Sicily on the reality of that event. Will men understand the mysterious language of those tears? The medical commission that was formed on October 7, 1953 to examine seriously and scientifically the nature of extraordinary cures worked through the intercession of the Weeping Madonna of Siracusa, considered 290 cases, of which 105 were of special interest. These miracles were reported within a few years of the incident. As mentioned earlier, the first person, however, to experience a miracle of healing was also the first to observe the weeping. From the time Antonina Iannuso first saw the tears, she recovered completely from severe toxemia and gave birth to a healthy son on December 25, 1953. Archbishop Baranzini officiated at the infant's baptism. The same astonishment experienced by the people of Siracusa at the time of the miracle was felt by those around the world as well, who read about the occurrence in local newspapers or heard about it on radio or television. It has been tabulated that reports even reached as far as India, China, Japan, and Vietnam. In Italy alone, more than 2,000 articles appeared in 225 papers and magazines, while hundreds of articles appeared in 93 foreign newspapers in 21 different nations. Rarely was an event of religious interest given such worldwide attention. To accommodate the influx of pilgrims coming from all over Europe and even the world, a larger makeshift temporary shrine was built first on Piazza Euripide, as a new sanctuary was at the time under construction. So I'm right here now at the Piazza Euripide, where the first shrine to the Madonna delle Lacrime was first built from September 19, 1953 until August 29, 1968. And just right here is a memorial to mark the spot where the first shrine was built and erected. And throngs, thousands and thousands of people during the 1950s and 1960s came to this plaza to pray and honor the Blessed Mother. And many miraculous healings took place right on the spot. And you know what, to be honest, I walked right through this piazza without realizing even its significance when I was going to the santuario, to the new sanctuary. And it's very, very easy to miss. It looks like a very, very ordinary piazza. And of course, over 70 years later, as of this filming, it looks quite different now. The buildings are still rather the same, but you know, you have coffee shops now, you have bike lanes, new paved roads. So it's not the same as it looked back in 1953. But whether you realize it or not, this is a pilgrimage site because this was the first shrine of Madonna delle Lacrime, the first shrine of the Madonna who wept here in Siracusa. So this is very special to the local people. So I do advise, if you do visit Siracusa, do stop by the piazza. You can find it on your Google Maps, or even when you go to the sanctuary of Our Lady of the Tears, you can ask the locals, you can ask a priest over there to direct you where this piazza is. It's very easy to navigate. And like I said, yeah, who would have known that such a simple spot that's very easy to miss is also a pilgrimage spot for our Blessed Mother. And thus we have the memorial built here to tell people and to tell all generations of what had occurred right on this piazza, where many people were healed, many miracles occurred here. And it's just even a testament to the local people's devotion to Mother Mary. And also a sign for all pilgrims who come here to Siracusa to learn of the event and what happened at Via degli Orti, the street where Our Lady first wept. Of the many visitors who thronged to see the miracles of the Weeping Madonna at Siracusa was Rosalia and Giuseppe Florio, who became devotees of the Blessed Mother. The couple had migrated to Canada, and their daughters, Lucia Vaca and Mary Tucito, recalled the story of how their mother was among the thousands to witness the lacrimation and some of the miracles of the Blessed Mother unfold in Siracusa during that time.
My name is Lucia Vacca, and I was born in Siracusa. I was 10 years old when we immigrated to Canada. Our parents were very devoted to the Madonnina delle Lacrime, and as well as Santa Lucia, which is the patron saint of Syracuse. And so we kept that in our family all these years.
And I'm married to Cheeto, also born in Syracuse. Immigrated in 1966, as Lucia, my sister, mentioned, and I was 4 years old when we immigrated. So any stories and things that we know, the devotion our parents had, certainly they impressed that upon us, and we've tried to carry that on. And just beautiful stories that they told us really are dear to our hearts of the Madonna delle Lacrime.
Yes.
Our mom her name is Rosalia, and her last name, unmarried name at the time, was Bonfanti.
Bonfanti, okay.
Yeah, and then they married later on in 1955.
And
Dad's name Giuseppe Florio.
Florio.
So, did your mom describe to you like how she came about to know the Weeping Madonna and how she saw?
I think they were in the neighborhood.
Yeah, they lived
was one of those things that
in the
word
neighborhood.
spread.
Yeah, word spread very quickly, so everyone kind of flocked to the area, and it became overwhelming for everyone, really. So
And I think at that point, once word spread and people were in and out of the house, then it was decided to bring the image outside.
That's right.
And
Because
in fact,
there was just too many people.
too many people,
people.
and everyone wanted to see it. You know, they all wanted to venerate the image. If that was, like, at the time, they didn't know if it was actually real or. So when these miracles started to happen, the word spread even more.
Yeah.
And of course, then you have the delegates of all the clergy and bishops and everyone else to analyze. So they took the image to various places to have it analyzed, and then they came up it was real. In particular, our mother was a witness when one of the miracles happened, and from a little girl who was totally deformed in a sense there, and then she wiggled her way off her dad. He was carrying her, and as soon as she did that, she was able to walk. So they actually lifted her up onto a wall that was probably about a foot wide, and she was running back and forth. So everyone, of course, witnessed this miracle, and they were there.
Yeah.
So, and then we also have one of our aunts who, at another time frame, she was also part of the crowd that witnessed from afar. Yeah, it wasn't as close as what my mom witnessed. They actually brought the image down to see if there was any something happening behind or within it. Was something in it that was, but when they analyzed everything, it was actual tears.
Human tears. It was analyzed, and again, it's documented in various literature that it was analyzed. I think the actual image was sent away, whether it was Milan or Rome.
Yes.
As mentioned earlier, the tears were collected through cotton buds and distributed among the faithful. Rosalia was among the very blessed to obtain and receive a piece of cotton containing the tears of the Mother of God.
But the cotton that we have there is actually from that time when they actually absorbed from the image. They absorbed the tears.
This is our mom's cotton, personal cotton, and flower petals from that time. Yeah, all of this. Whereas some of these other items were things that are available or were made available to people, but this one is actually from her.
Yeah, and this one here is from 1953. It actually has it on and it's an actual piece of cotton, whereas the other ones are more of a gauze.
So, for those who are watching right now, so this is an actual relic of the piece of cotton that was used to wipe the tears of Mother Mary. So this is all a relic that contains a first degree relic that contains the tears of Mother Mary. Yes. So this is very special, very unique.
Very unique.
Yeah.
And here's also another one with the envelope.
I actually wonder if even the sanctuary has these.
I know. It's a good
I
question.
hope that they would.
I
Otherwise, I
so,
feel that once we are gone, we have an obligation to bring it to them. Sometimes you need to return things to their rightful owner.
Of course.
Yeah, we were really raised to also venerate, Mother Mary. Pray to her. It's just part of our life, really.
I managed to interview another devotee who was also witness to the growing devotion of the Madonna delle Lacrime during the 1950s. Deacon Diego Marata was still a young boy living in Sicily when he first heard about the miracles of the Blessed Mother in Syracuse, and recalls when he visited her shrine in Piazza Euripide during the 1950s.
I am a permanent deacon. My name is Diego Marata, and I was born in Sicily, and I've been in Canada since 1965. I was 17 years old when I came to this lovely country, and I came with my family, and I've been working here, and been a permanent deacon since 1990, 35 years this June. What I know is what I remember as a child. Growing up in Sicily, I was an altar boy, and I was so blessed that we had a wonderful priest as a pastor who had just been ordained 2 years when he came from another town into my own parish, in my hometown. And he was some kind of Don Bosco. A lot of priests at that time, and even today, some of the priests adopt the style of St. John Bosco to call the young people, to gather them, to draw them closer to Jesus, to teach us. It will teach us the catechism. So we grew up in that environment, and because of he wanted to expose us to what the Lord and Our Lady were doing in our life. By the way, he was very Marian, so he had two love in his life: Jesus in the Eucharist and Mother Mary. I remember fondly my priest watching him in the afternoon, up and down, walking in the church, saying the Rosary, praying the Rosary, and they would teach us likewise to do the same. One day he told us that he was organizing a bus trip to go on a pilgrimage to a city about maybe 3 hours or so away from our town. My town is in the center of the island, and he was going to take us to Syracuse, which is over the ocean facing Greece, so about 3 hours away by bus. And along with the parishioners, we went to Syracuse. But for myself, I tried to put myself in my own shoes as a child. What I remember, what did it feel like hearing this story? Of course, I was in awe. This, wow, what happens? Our Lady? As a child, thank God, when you are innocent, you don't ask questions. You don't say, is it true or is it not? Are you sure? We don't ask this. But what we say is, wow, it's beautiful. And so we were really touched. And this was when I was an altar boy, about 8 years old, 7 years old. Then later on, when in my teenage years, I was in another city, which is called Catania, just north of Syracuse. I was studying there in a formation house by the Jesuits, discerning my vocation. And the Jesuits one day they announced as well that they were taking us to Syracuse to visit this shrine, Our Lady of the Tears, La Madonna delle Lacrime, Our Lady of the Tears, this miraculous event. So they told us about it. And what I remember at that time was just going into the church and with the other, my fellow classmates, and with the priests. And we were told the same story that I had heard as a child. And again, even a young teenager, and you don't ask questions. You are not Thomas, I don't believe, but we were just wondering, and we were in awe and wondering what the Lord was doing with that.
After the church approval in 1953 and 1954, a new sanctuary was in the works of being built to accommodate the overflow of pilgrims. Construction began in 1966, and due to the extreme modernity of the project, there were many controversies from the very beginning, especially on the part of citizens who considered the work a monster of reinforced concrete that would further burden an already heavily compromised urban area. Precisely for this reason, even the place of construction was subject to controversies and criticism. This was because upon excavation of the ground, ancient ruins were uncovered. However, due to the costly nature of maintaining and excavating ancient ruins, especially in the current economic climate, it was just left behind. These disputes greatly delayed the construction, which only finished in 1994. The image of Our Lady was initially placed inside the crypt below, while the top portion of the basilica was being constructed. Upon its completion, Saint Pope John Paul II himself visited and consecrated the sanctuary to Our Lady of the Tears in 1994, and in 2002, recognizing the significance of this historical event, he elevated the church to a basilica. And in 2019, the Sicilian Episcopal Conference named the basilica as a regional Marian sanctuary for Sicily. Not many people know as well that Cardinal Robert Prevost visited the basilica on September 1, 2024, just 8 months before becoming Pope Leo XIV. The sanctuary is currently made up of the upper basilica and the lower crypt, with an unusual conical body with a total height of 103 meters or 338 feet, which is surmounted by a steel crown that carries a statue of the Immaculate Heart of Mary. The cone is meant to represent a teardrop of the Blessed Mother and could be seen in the surrounding areas of Siracusa. Inside, there are several side chapels, some of which are dedicated to Saint Lucy, patroness of Siracusa, and Saint Padre Pio, who had a special devotion to Our Lady of the Tears, where he once said, "Go to Siracusa. If the mother is crying, she has something important to tell us." Today, a reliquary containing the cotton buds soaked in the tears of Mary are enshrined inside the basilica. But recently, however, these have been on pilgrimage around Sicily and brought to several churches to spread devotion to Our Lady of the Tears. Unfortunately, as of this filming, the crypt and the Museum of Ex Votos below the basilica, testifying to the many miracles of Our Lady of the Tears, are currently closed due to renovation. In one of the side chapels is an area where ribbons and clothes for babies are donated to the sanctuary in thanksgiving for successful pregnancies, which makes sense because the recipient of the first miracle of Mary was towards a pregnant woman. So until today, many pregnant women invoke the Weeping Madonna for successful pregnancies. Maria Argento, another native from Sicily, shares her testimony of how she heard about the events through the local radio station and also experienced a small personal miracle from the Weeping Madonna of Siracusa. So when did you first hear about Madonna delle Lacrime?
In Syracuse.
Yes.
Siracusa, Sicily. I heard that very soon that the God the Mother started to cry. Was a very spread the news, but at the very beginning nobody believed it. Especially when you talk about saints, God, the Madonna, nobody believes. Everybody say, But lately I was a teenager and I was in my hometown of Ravanusa in province of Agrigento. And well, look like that somebody talk about just to say something. No, the church went deeply after to study if the tears were really tears or water like they imagine. So after years of study, they confirmed that La Madonna delle Lacrime, she cries tears,
like real
natural tears.
Yeah. And you first heard this on the radio?
On the radio, because we were in the 50s, maybe 52, 53 anyway. But was spread all over the Italy, the news, whatever, by radio. So after they confirmed, things started to move. That in Syracuse started to build a new church, very modern church. And ever since la Madonna delle Lacrime became very famous worldwide.
Yes.
Now, when I got married in 1961, and I was expecting the baby in 1963, which he was born on the early of 1964, January 1964. My mom made a promise to la Madonna delle Lacrime of Syracuse that if everything will be good, everything normal, we will take a trip to Syracuse when I will return in Sicily, which I did with my children 7 years after. Went to 71. So with my children, my mom, the one who promised made la promessa. Me, Charlie, the one who was born in 1964, was 7 years old, and Michael, my second son, was 5 years old. All four we went to Syracuse to thank you, la Madonna delle Lacrime. And this is it.
So you were praying for your mom was praying for a successful pregnancy.
Thank you, yes. Thank you that the baby was born normal, everything was going very well.
Yes.
So after 7 years after, I went back to Italy and I brought my 2 children. After I had another boy. I have 3 boys now.
3 boys. And
okay.
the name of this child, his name is Charlie.
Charlie Argento is my son.
Yeah.
Mike Argento is my second son. David was born... no, David didn't bring it, David. David was 17 months old, but I stay in my hometown because David was too much baby to carry on with this trip to go to Syracuse.
So which son did your mom pray for a successful pregnancy? Which child did your mom pray?
For Charlie, the first
Charlie.
one. See, the first one.
Okay, yes.
And this is what, and it was a very nice experience. We went to Syracuse with the children, see la Madonna delle Lacrime, something like touching something what's happening. I thank her for the good result I had with my pregnancy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I just have one more question. As a Sicilian, do you feel a sense of pride that the Madonna chose Sicily to...
Certo, it's something different.
Yeah.
As a Siciliana, but we have other Madonna in Sicilia. More or less, famous or not, we have other sanctuary with the Madonna, Madonna. But this was spectacular because she cried.
Yes.
And the lady who had the baby was expecting the baby, and she had the picture on her bed. Everything went fine too. I believe these guys now must be over 60, no more than 60. And he was involved with this process with the church, he was the baby.
Yeah.
It was the baby who was supposed to be.
Similar with your case. With
I
the
was
pregnancy,
after, but that happened before. Yeah.
That's right. At the crypt below the basilica, there is also a hallway where jewelry are displayed behind the glass cabinet as forms of ex votos or votive offerings given by different women since 1953 in thanksgiving for the various miracles from Our Lady of the Tears. So behind me right here is the first shrine column of Madonna delle Lacrime when it was placed here in 1953. So this was the first shrine built for the Madonnina. And this was at the Piazza Uripide, which is down south by the shrine, like a 5-10 minute walk, before this main sanctuary was built. So today, it's right here on the grounds of the main and new sanctuary as a reminder of the early days of the devotion after the miracle happened. Around Siracusa, one can find the significance and the impact which the Blessed Mother had left on the local people. Shops named after her as well as souvenir trinkets in tourist areas could be found around the city center. Sicilians take great pride with the fact that Our Lady has chosen to grace her presence on their island. This gratitude and sense of pride is still even shown within the Sicilian diaspora today, a fact that remains especially true for Lucia Vacca and Mary Tucito.
I think for us as immigrants, especially with all these things that our parents kept for us and the faith of how they continued to share with us, personally there's a great deal of pride, and we feel that connection totally with Sicily, with Syracuse in particular, of course. So when we visit and go to the sanctuary, there is something that you feel that this is home. It's hard to describe, perhaps as immigrants, many of us have that feeling. But in Sicily, I'm going to say this, and I probably shouldn't speak on their behalf because they live there and I live in Canada. I wonder if they feel that same pride, but I still sense that they feel that connection, that, deep down, yes, we were chosen in a sense. We were special. As you said, why? Why in Syracuse? Why in Sicily? Now, Syracuse is a big city. I should mention that. You know that, of course. Yeah. But, it's very interesting. I think for us, it's actually even deeper than for those,
I think,
in Sicily and Syracuse.
Well, even like what I'm feeling now at this moment, in a sense, it's up to us also, you and I, there's four of us siblings, is almost like I feel like it's up to us to also continue the faith and bring these relics to our own family so they understand, especially our grandchildren. We try to bring them to Mass. We try to, each generation's becoming more and more distant. And even within our families, the ones that live in Syracuse, they don't really, connect with it. I think that's maybe something that now I feel that we have to do. So it's our job.
I think if you study the past, you know who you are and why you are, and why they are the way they are because of things in our DNA.
But it also brings more of the history of our family to them live in a sense with Mom and Dad and Antina. She's the other one that I was looking for the picture of her being part of the crowd. But so I think it would be good, something that we should do even with our cousins get-togethers that we usually have. And give them this information because they don't know. It's something that stayed with us. I mean, we grew up with it because of our parents, right? But they may not know. So it's a way, a conversation. It's also, I think, maybe why she appeared. Going back to that, evangelizing those who are unbelievers.
Called to do, we're all called
right?
to do.
I think that's
an opportunity for dialogue.
Makes you think.
Especially in the area of Syracuse, but because of the devotion and the news spread so fast. Imagine, I was only 5 years old, and let's say when it happened. So a couple of years, 3 years later, when I was at our boy, say I was 7 or 8, the pastor already had told us. So it's something that had just occurred a few years before, and he took us by bus. So the fact that it spread through the island so fast, it tells us about the love that the people of Sicily have for Our Lady. And also what helps us, the fact that it is not the only shrine to Our Lady. The whole island, like in so many other places in the Catholic world, Our Lady's shrines are disseminated all over. Like we have Our Lady of Gibilmanna, which is the name of the village. So there's shrines there. Then La Madonna or Lady of Tindari, all in Sicily. And so everywhere we go in Sicily, that's so it tells us about the love of Our Lady that she has for her children in Sicily, like she has them for all over the place, all the world, wherever she appears. It's, Our Lady, like Jesus, she doesn't have a favorite one, a favorite human or the other, by each favorite persons or a place becomes a sign of universal love for everyone and for all places, and that Our Lady has. What I was telling you that what I remember as a child, I thought I had it in my mother's prayer book, which I still have from the 1950s. I thought I had the song that they made to Our Lady, but it's not there. But somehow, because we used to sing it when I was with the Jesuits, House of Formation, that's why it's stuck in my memory. And I could remember it, which is another proof that this simple song that someone wrote with the music to Our Lady is spread so fast. And some of the words are still stuck in my memory. It was beautiful, to Our Lady of the Tears. Each line that I remember, a few lines, very few, I can translate them. It's Madonna delle Lacrime, Cuor Santo di Maria, which means Our Lady of the Tears, Sacred Heart of Mary. Ascolta I nostri gemiti, prega per noi Gesù. Listen, hear our supplications of pain, painful supplications, and pray for us to your Jesus. And then it says, Il tuo corato piando. Your painful cry, it gives us, it tells us about your love for your son. So I don't remember all the other songs, but you have it on tape. One day you can put it on and you can share it also. So it's a simple song, but very beautiful. Yes. It's even the type of the music. To me, it's very meditative and contemplative. I envision myself just looking at Our Lady's picture and singing to her those words. Listen to us. You are praying, and you are suffering because of us.
The house of the Iannusos on Via degli Orti has since been converted into an oratory. And every August 29, a procession from the main sanctuary makes its way to this tiny, unsuspecting home in a quiet, run-down neighborhood to pay homage to Our Lady who cried. I was asked by a few people why the Blessed Mother chose to manifest herself here in Siracusa. Why to a young couple who didn't even practice their faith? That is, unfortunately, I do not have the answer to that. And in fact, the neighborhood here where the Blessed Mother chose to manifest herself in such a very peculiar and even extraordinary way at the same time, this neighborhood right here in Siracusa, to be quite frank and honest, is quite run down. There isn't a lot to see here in this side of Siracusa. All the tourist attractions are in Ortigia, which is south of here, and this is really just a neighborhood. And one has to wonder why the Blessed Mother chose this place. We don't have the answers to that. Some people were asking me why to a young couple did the Blessed Mother manifest herself in such a way. I'm not sure as well. And I do know from Angelo and Antonina Iannuso, they didn't know why the Blessed Mother chose them. But I think in many places around the world where the Blessed Mother has manifested herself, or where our Lord Jesus Christ has manifested himself, there is always a purpose. So this sanctuary might not be as big as the one in Lourdes and Fatima, but there is a reason why Our Lady came here, why she manifested herself through her tears. So in many cases, like in the sanctuaries of Lourdes and Fatima, the message was more universal. whereas in other places, it's more for the diocese. And I'd like to say, here in Siracusa, Our Lady manifested herself for the couple, for the neighborhood of Siracusa. Because here in Siracusa, this sanctuary, this Madonnina is very big here. People are very familiar with the story, even if they couldn't speak English to me. Whenever I mention Santuario della Madonna delle Lacrime, their eyes light up and say, "Oh, Madonna delle Lacrime." So it's very big here in Siracusa. And that's what I'm saying. The Blessed Mother, she comes to us in the way that we will best understand her. And in this case, she came to the people of Syracuse through her tears. Now, this is a thought that just came to me. I read somewhere that Italians, Spanish, Portuguese, people from this region in Europe, in Southwest Europe, where the climate is warmer, where the weather is nicer, the people are very passionate, they are very emotional. They wear their emotions on their sleeves. That's what I read. You can correct me if I'm wrong. You can comment down below here if you agree or disagree. But this just came to me. If that is the case, if the people wear their emotions on their sleeve and they're very expressive, the Blessed Mother just did the same. The Blessed Mother didn't speak here, she didn't appear, but the Blessed Mother was very emotional. She expressed her emotion through tears. And that's what I'm saying. The Blessed Mother comes to us in the best way that we will receive her, in the best way that we will receive Jesus. So in this case here in Syracuse, she came through her tears, through her emotions, to express her emotions. In the history of the Church, she has remained very cautious when it comes to so-called apparitions and miracles, especially when it comes to reports of weeping images. To date, both the Church and science have only verified and/or acknowledged at the very least 2 cases when it comes to weeping images or statues. The first case is here in Siracusa, and the other in Akita, Japan, during the 1970s. Why did Mary weep? Why did Our Lady choose to manifest herself through tears? Deacon Diego Marata offers his insights.
One of the mysteries of our faith is similar, almost like why Our Lady chooses little children or why some unthinkable place. But in this case, Our Lady did not speak. But actually, what brings it to my mind, it makes me think of the importance of the style of Our Lady in evangelizing. She evangelizes like she did from the very beginning, when she lived with her son in the house of Nazareth through her silence. And then throughout the years of the Church, we know that Our Lady speaks very few words, and at times she has appeared without saying anything. But in this case, she has appeared, well, she has been, of course, she was with us, present through her tears. The tears which are signs, sometimes our tears are signs of joy, but looking at our times today, but also at the times even in the 50s, when she appeared in 1953, there were a lot of things happened. The Second World War had just finished, and there were a lot of bad things going on in the world, where the appeal of our Lord to the world to convert had not been heeded. And Our Lady is coming and keeps coming as an apostle to bring us back to her Son. And this time it was just the tears would mean that tears of sorrow, almost telling us, compelling us to pick up the Gospel book, for example, or the New Testament, and meditate on God's Word. What is Jesus' message to us today? And why is his mother, our mother, crying? When a mother cries for her children, what would the children do? The first question is, Mom, why are you crying? And I guess that we would make a guess that you must be crying because we are not listening to your calls to come close to your Son. We are too busy, too occupied in fixing our attention on the things of this world. We are replacing the one and true God with idols of wealth, of health, or whatever is material. And we forget that everything good that we may have is God's gift. And that the best gift that we can have, we can receive from God, is the gift of ourselves to Him. So Our Lady with her silent tears is saying to come back to my Son. Love my Son as I love him. So she doesn't have to say too much because we know the love of our mother. And Our Lady, there is a picture of Our Lady where she puts her finger, index finger on her mouth, saying, which is called Our Lady of Silence.
Our Lady of Silence.
We've seen that. I have a picture of it on my phone. And she is inviting us to come forward, to be silent, to meditate, and then to contemplate, to be with her in the presence of Jesus, especially if Jesus in the Eucharist. And we know that wherever Jesus is, his mother is. So to learn from her, to contemplate, to fix our gaze on her Son, and to let him touch us, and to let him convert us and transform us. So the tears mean, come back to my Son. And this time is only tears of normal human tears. And that is also being authenticated by the Church after investigation. It proves to us, through the sign, that Our Lady is like us, is one of us. So she, with her human tears, she makes herself closer to us. So she is our mother. You see, I am crying for you because you are not listening, you are not doing what Jesus is asking you to do for your own good. And so she wishes for us to change our minds and to come closer to God, to her Son Jesus.
Yes.
To me, that's what it means, the tears, yeah.
Yes.
It's a call to conversion. The tears are a call to conversion.
So I'm being given the blessed opportunity to be currently standing right in front now of the original and miraculous bust plaster image of Our Lady, which wept real tears from August 29 until September 1st, 1953. For those of you who are watching right now, I just want to let you know that our Blessed Mother wants to be with you right at this moment. Yes, you who are watching right now, whether it is at the comfort of your own homes, or during your lunch break at the office, or you're probably in the park with your child, or wherever in the world you may be right at this moment, Mother Mary wants to be with you right now. Our Lady who wept, and Mary who is still weeping, is telling you right at this moment that whatever sorrow or burden you may be carrying, she wants to let you know that she fully understands and is fully aware of your struggles and sorrows. You see, God and our Blessed Mother aren't blind to our plights and sorrows, even if we think that they don't listen to us. Mary's weeping shows us that despite the fact that she is already in her glorified state in heaven, Our Lady isn't weeping for herself, but she is weeping for us because she is concerned about us. She's very concerned and worried. just like a mother. Her sharing in the compassionate love of the Lord, who suffers for us, his children. He ardently hopes for our conversion and always awaits us as a merciful Father to forgive us for everything we've done, because he is very merciful. So there are those who wonder why Mary didn't say anything here in Siracusa. Why isn't there a dancing sun like in Fatima, or the miraculous springs in Lourdes? Unfortunately, this is a question I cannot fully answer myself. But here's some food for thought. Tears are powerful. Tears are a powerful form of communication. What could be honestly more powerful and moving than seeing a mother cry? You don't need words to feel moved when you see a loved one weep. It happens to this very day in our society. To the parents who hold the bodies of their children amidst the senseless wars in Ukraine, or in Israel and Palestine, and anywhere else in the world where there is hunger and famine, or even in our own neighborhoods and cities where children who have gone astray and have gone down the wrong path. As Pope Pius XII addressed, will men ever understand the mysterious language of those tears of Mary? In my opinion, what occurred here in Siracusa in 1953 isn't just an isolated incident for the island of Sicily or for Italy. It is not an event of the past, but the lacrimations of Mary still resonate to this day. It is for each person, each of us in particular. As a 21st century Catholic, I also see this event as a way of the Blessed Mother telling this generation that it is all right to be vulnerable as she herself did here in Siracusa. Mary teaches us to embrace our emotions. There is a greater awareness and acceptance of mental health issues today compared to previous generations. Young people are more open about discussing their struggles, which can be perceived as fragility. But in these days, it is often a sign of progress in mental health awareness. And I'd like to believe that here in Siracusa, the Blessed Mother also wants to emphasize this to millennials and to Gen Z folks. It is okay to cry because the Lord Himself and our Blessed Mother herself have expressed their emotions and have cried. Our whole lives we are taught not to cry. Crying makes you weak. Crying makes you a loser. And especially if you're a man, crying can make you very ugly, and it's very embarrassing, unfortunately. However, here in Siracusa, Our Lady wants to make it clear that crying is okay. Tears are like our mind's natural way of draining itself. Crying is a way we can let out the anger, the pain, and sadness that we might feel. We can let go of our shame and even our embarrassment. And once we allow ourselves to cry it out, our heads become clearer, which may just be the first step to feeling better. So going back to Mary's tears here in Siracusa, they are tears that speak to us of God's compassion and a message for us to look at that cross and see the ultimate sacrifice of Christ. Indeed, He gave to all of us His mother, who weeps our own tears so that we do not feel alone in difficult moments. The miracles of Our Lady of the Tears in Siracusa is the ongoing proof that God is not distant to us, nor is He unfamiliar to pain and suffering. As this is considered a contemporary miracle, approved by the Church, the Blessed Mother shows us that she, as a mother, continues to intercede for us in our modern world, and she is deeply interested in our personal affairs. Now the question is, are we ready and willing to respond to Mary's tears? Are we willing to approach and wipe her tears away? The choice is ours. Our Lady of the Tears, Madonna delle Lacrime, pray for us. For more content, don't forget to click the like and subscribe button on Anton on the Go. God bless and Ave Maria.